Simone Clarke, and I'm here with Mel James, who I have been maybe crazy enough or lucky enough to work with for the last 15 years. Welcome, Mel.
Welcome, Simone, and I feel ditto as well to you.
Today we're going to talk about the tough questions of off markets, but before we start, I think we should do a rapid fire questions. A few of them I'm going to know the answers to, but maybe some people don't, so let's go. Who do you barrack for?
I barrack for the Pies, the mighty Pies. We're looking good this year too.
We'll leave that alone.
A lot better than the Hawks.
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
How long have you been in real estate for?
A long time, specifically at James Buy Sell, over 20 years.
Righto. And what was your first job?
First job, if we're talking, my first job outside real estate was actually right here in Brighton. I was cleaning houses of the very wealthy, so I did that for almost 7 years after leaving school. The company was called Mountain Cleaning Company, and some of the houses that I actually see up for sale now and again, I actually used to clean. I won't give too many things away, but maybe 40 plus years ago.
Yeah, right. Well, that's something I actually didn't know about you. And what was your first job in real estate?
First job in real estate was with a company called Hodges. So I was a selling agent. Not on the dark side, or maybe on the dark side, depends how you look at things. I was on the other side for about 18 months.
Yeah. And something that people may not know about you?
People may not know about me that I've actually gone back to school this year part-time. I'm going back doing a master's at the moment, which sounds impressive. But then I tell people it's in blockchain and cryptocurrency and they just start laughing at me. They look at me and think there's something wrong. But I'm doing it at RMIT. It's a really interesting course. It's not about gambling. I'm really interested in the systems and where it's going in property and where it's also perhaps going in charity.
And going back to real estate for the second then, so what's the biggest buying job that you've done?
Biggest buying job, almost 30 million. And that was only about a year ago.
And then you're selling?
Selling, a bit over 20 million. That was also about a year ago.
And combined together, sell?
Combined together, buy, sell, bit over 60 million. Involved a couple of states and a few different agents. And that wasn't that long ago either.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's get into it. So off markets, fire away. What is an off market?
What is an off market? An off market is a property that's not advertised. So you hear a little bit about Domain and realestate.com.au saying they're advertising off markets or something along those lines. Well, I don't know how it can be an off market if it's actually advertised. The definition that we all agree on is that it's a quiet sale, a non-advertised sale. That's an off market.
So what about those that are off markets, but then 2 weeks later we see them online?
They're not actually off markets there, and I might take my hat off here actually too. They're pre-markets. So they're agents that are bringing a property to the general marketplace. They're bringing it to realestate.com.au or they're bringing it to Domain. They're probably going to run an auction campaign or an expression of interest, and they're whispering it out to people now. But it's almost never those properties are sold.
So why would they say that it's an off market? What's
Because
the benefit for them doing that?
Off markets are trendy, and it's important to be showing people buzzword. There you go. Yeah. It's important to be showing people that you deal with public properties and you deal with the off markets. But a lot of agents do not deal with off markets. They mainly deal with publicly listed properties, publicly advertised properties.
Okay, so I'm selling my house. Why would I do it off market?
Okay, in this current market, and I think it's important to point out that off markets, like any other sort of situation, like renovated properties, like geographical areas, whatever, they go through cycles. And at the moment, there's a lot of off markets out there, and probably not a lot of those off markets are selling. So even though we're in a stock shortage currently, there are quite a few properties out there that are off market, but they aren't selling. So I'm actually going to answer your question in a way. Why would I actually go off market? I'd go off market for a couple of reasons. I'd go off market if I felt I wanted a price well above where the market was at. Why? Well, we've all seen properties that have sat on realestate.com.au or sat on Domain for months and months and months. And while that's positive in that people can see that property's for sale, it's actually quite negative because people who are looking at that start to go, what's wrong with it?
Wondering what's
wrong,
yeah.
It's been on the market for ages. There must be something wrong with it. Usually there is. Usually it's too highly priced, but it's not necessarily anything else wrong with it. And what happens in those situations is when the prices are lowered, people don't really recognise that. They still feel that there's something wrong with it. So people would go off market because they're too highly priced. That's one reason. Another reason, legitimately, is that they don't want the publicity. So let's say they're rich and famous. Let's say they're getting divorced. Let's say they just don't want anybody knowing about it. So they'll go off market, they'll quietly, perfectly legitimate. Another sort of the sort of third and key reason in my mind is that it's a property that may not attract a buyer immediately. So back on that situation that if you're putting a property up on the internet and it takes 12 months to find a particular buyer, and not even necessarily because of price. I mean, at $20 million, there's not 5 buyers usually looking to buy your property, and certainly at the moment there's not 5 buyers.
So protecting the internet footprint.
Yeah, exactly right. Protecting the footprint. So as when a buyer does come along, the buyer goes, oh, this is something a bit new, a bit interesting.
This as opposed to why has nobody else bought this?
Correct. And so that's a very legitimate reason, because a lot of properties at the higher end don't attract, or it's not really possible. There's not going to be 10 buyers to walk through. So they go quietly until they find that buyer.
So you touched on it before. How big is the off-market market now? So at the moment in the current climate, you're finding there are quite a few off-markets out there, probably for one of those reasons that you've just listed.
Yeah, and also for properties that have been to market last year and didn't sell. The market was particularly poor last year. In fact, one of the poorer markets that we've had for some time. And there were a lot of properties, and you could see that from the clearance rates. The clearance rates went from basically 80 to 90% down to 50 to 60%. Well, those 20 to 30% of properties that didn't sell, they're still there. So people tend to pull them off from an advertising point of view, and they quietly sell them.
And see how that goes.
Yeah.
What else should we know about the off-market markets?
It's a very interesting market. I love to sell properties and I love to buy properties on the off-market market. I like to do that because there are some real bargains. I don't want to be painting the picture out there that the off-market is all negative. In fact, completely the opposite. We would buy somewhere between a third and half the properties that we purchase, we would buy off-market. And a really good example would be a neighbour. If we're trying to buy a particular neighbour, and there are various techniques that we have, that this is not the podcast to be going into, but you're going to be purchasing that property off market. Similarly, if you've got a property and you're not clear on value, well, one way of doing it is advertise it, quote them low, watch them go. Okay, let's not worry about the morality or the legality of that. That's not necessarily healthy anyway. Because, well, if there's not a lot of buyers out there, you quote them low and you don't get that much interest, you may get a false reading. So I like the idea of going to an off-market if I'm selling properties, because it gives a chance for the seller to get some feedback. I also like the idea that of selling a property off-market, because you can have multiple agents coming through. An agent can... rather than having advertising that there's 4 or 5 agents can sell this property publicly, privately, you can have agents say, well, here's a property, are you interested? This is the particular price. And if you've got a buyer, by all means bring them through, and there'll be a commission sharing arrangement that you'll be comfortable with.
Yeah, got it. Would you sell your home off market?
Well, currently at the moment, I would. I've tried. Just recently, and when I say I've tried, I didn't actively go about it, but next door was being sold. And so I said, well, if you can get X for my property, which was probably a bit of an unreasonable amount, then you can sell my property. So I never advertised it. I did get a contract. So you would
sell your property at a price then?
I would sell sell my property if somebody wanted to pay me 2X. There's plenty of properties out there that are supposedly off market and for sale, and realistically they are not for sale. Realistically, they're not for sale because they're difficult like me and they want 2X. And, who's going to do that? So what then happens is that people waste a lot of time. Why would an agent take those properties on? Well, an agent would take those properties on because at the moment they don't have too much else, and so they're wanting to keep buyers engaged in some way, shape or form because those buyers represent income to them, and so they're taking them through off-market properties that are not really for sale. And how do you know if an off-market is for sale?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, how do you know if a property is really for sale and it's off-market? Well, I call it the duck test. You know, if it walks like a duck, sort of quacks like a duck, well then it is a duck. But if it doesn't, well then it's not a duck. So if you ask some simple questions, have you got an SOI, statement of information, on no, there's no specific price quote. That's a big negative.
Yeah.
Have you got an authority on the property, Mr. or Mrs. Agent? Yeah, and when they start to hesitate, the answer is no, they don't. So that's a big negative as well. Is there a contract for me to look at? Well, if you give us an offer, we'll get you a contract. How many times do you hear that? That's not real.
Too often.
It's not real. The property's not for sale. And then if access is difficult, they're going away for a couple of weeks and can you come back and have a look at it then after you've already been through and said you're interested? That's probably the fourth and final thing that says to me no. So unless there's a contract, unless the agent tells you they have an authority, unless they will give you a specific price and show you an SOI, statement of information, and give you reasonable access, then the property's not really for sale. They're just saying it's for sale.
So going into the, just back to the off-market market for the moment. So obviously there would be good times to sell off markets and bad times to sell off market.
Correct.
That's a little bit confusing. So
okay. Well, now would be a more difficult time to sell off market. Why? Because the market is more difficult. Right. And there's buyers when they're going to look at properties, well, they don't want to be overpaying. Whereas when the market's absolutely flying and you take a buyer to a property, a buyer's more interested about, well, I better get it now, otherwise it's going to be worth more next week, next month. What do I have to do to buy it? So that's where, you know, there's definitely cyclical stuff on markets. The other thing is agents. And it's not just agents that deal in off markets, so I'll come back to that in a minute. But there's a number of agents out there that say off markets, but they actually don't know how to sell a property off market. I mean, how many property? And a good question if you're looking at selling a property, a good question is, well, give me a list of the properties you've sold off market in the last 6 months. And there's quite a few agents just couldn't really list any. They'll list other people's. No, I mean the properties you've actually sold off market, Mr. or Mrs. Agent. Because if you don't have that skill base, if you don't have that database, if you don't have that banter to be able to communicate with people and take them to a property that's not advertised, well then you're not going to be that good at selling off market. The other situation is sales. It's really important when you're looking at selling a property on market, in other words, advertising. One of the key criteria in selecting an agent is, well, how many other properties have you sold of a similar nature? It's really important in an off-market basis to be saying to the agent, well, how many other properties have you got on market at the moment that are similar to mine? Why? Well, because if you're just dealing with one, and it's why we like to deal with multiple agents, but if you're just dealing with one agent and they've got no other properties, well, what happens when they've been through their database? After the first week, they've taken 2 people through. Where are you going to get any other people? So there's nobody else coming through the property. And then just sits there and then you hear the usual arguments, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you're too expensive, that's the reason I can't bring a buyer through. Now that may be true, but what also may be true is there's no funnel. There's no way of that particular agent, because they're not connected with a good database or they're not connected with other similar properties, bringing buyers through.
So off markets that we often deal with are obviously in the upper end.
Yes.
So what about the lower end? And on that, then coming to off markets, why are so many apartments off market but so few homes? Okay.
Certainly at the lower end, why would you put an off market on at the lower end? If it's a really good property, I don't know that answer. Because I can't think of a reason that you would. If you're a property in the $1 to $2 million range and you may have 5 to 10 bidders, why would you not put it on market? To me, it makes sense. Like I'm not a off-market guru where, you know, everything has to be sold off market. At the 15, 20 million, 10 million, and certain specific properties at 5 million and above, well, it makes sense. And if the client's too high, it makes sense. But at 1 to 2 million, if you want to sell your property and it's well priced, I'm not sure why you'd be doing it off market, except for the privacy reasons. You know, I mean, somebody's not well, a variety of other private type reasons. That makes sense.
So tapping into that, let's say between the 1 and the 2 million, to go public, is that because there's a bigger buyer pool? Is that because you'd put it there because there's more people who would bid than what they would at the 10 to 15? Is that the logic?
It's a lot more efficient. You know, if you've got a good selling agent and they're dealing in 5 or 6 campaigns in that $1 to $2 million range, well, to be honest, it's about numbers. It's about numbers. It's about churning people through, and it's about creating a situation, a volcano, creating a situation where people push up and that's the price that's paid. That makes complete sense in the $1 to $2 million range, and I'd be struggling off market. Now, you asked me about apartments. Yes. Well, apartments are very similar to $20 million homes in some ways. There's not that many buyers. Yeah. And that's why a lot of apartments are off markets, is that they're difficult to sell. And so, again, coming back, advertising a property on market, advertising an apartment on market, and it's sitting there for month after month after month. It just makes it unhealthy, and that's the main reason a lot of them are off markets. And similarly, a lot of the people who own those apartments, they're not prepared to keep spending the money on the advertising.
Yeah. So what's the difference between, say, off market and then the term off the plan?
Yeah, okay. I do get asked this question a lot, especially by younger people or especially by investors. Look, off the plan is a property, yes, it is technically off market, so it's not being advertised, but off the plan is also, it's not yet built. So this is about what may be happening in the future. Let me tell you how many off the plans we've bought for investors, how many off the plans we bought for young people, how many off the plans we bought for anybody. This is how many. 0. So in my entire career, I bought 0 off the plans where they haven't been started. I bought 2 properties that have been partially completed, but they were experienced clients and they made a lot of sense. Off the plan is another podcast, but it's very different from off market.
So what is the process in selling a home off market? And is there good processes and bad processes? Well,
there are good processes and bad processes, and a lot of it starts with you if you're selling. A lot of it starts with your actual selection of agent. If somebody's come round, this is how it'll go. Knock, knock, knock on the door, or hi, how you going? I'm really interested in your family, and by the way, do you want to sell your house? And you go, no. And then they go, but if I could get $8 million for you, and your place is worth $4 million, but if I could get $8 million for you, would you do it? And they go, oh, well, yeah. And so all of a sudden, knock, knock, knock on the door before the phone's even hung up. Somebody's actually there. So, well, I'm going to take some buyers through now at $8 million. Just sign this authority or not or whatever. Just let me take them through. That is not a good process. You haven't established who the agent is. You haven't established their bona fides. What you've been is sucked in by some large price, a lot bigger than what is realistically your property's worth. And then I'll tell you where it goes from there. You then start this process of pain. This process of pain between you and the selling agent. As they keep telling you lower, 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 you keep wondering why you actually got started on this process. Buyers come through and keep saying, I love your house, but it's way too expensive. Yada, yada. And eventually you get down to probably even lower than what you would have got if you had taken the property on market and you weren't ready to do all this. It's not a good process. So the good process is understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then who you're going to work with that actually has experience. In other words, people that have sold off markets on a regular basis, or what we do is a multi-list process where we have multiple agents have abilities to go through that property, and they are interested. Why would they not wish to earn a good commission if they've got a buyer? And then a way of, after the first week or 2 weeks, new buyers being continually cycled through your property.
So on the buyer side of that then, so when should a buyer consider buying a property off market? And why should they consider buying a property off market?
I would consider buying a property off market when I like it. So that would be the only reason, rather than the property's for sale and it's quiet. I'm not interested in a property because it's off market. It's just like, I'm not interested in a property because it's auction. I'm not interested in a property because it's EOI, and I don't recommend any client should be as well. But if the property is of value to you and you really like it and you haven't seen it around, well, it doesn't matter whether it's on or off market. If it's off market, let's try and buy it. Providing then you've then gone and established those things that I talked about. Contract, price, access, and authority.
Yeah. So do you think some buyers could get sucked into the secret side of it? Like if someone said to you, I've got this off market, will they go, Or have you seen your experience, oh, it's off market, so I really want to be involved in it, just being in the know?
I can't tell you how many times people feel that they come to me and say, Mel, look, I'm fine. I'm talking to all the agents and there's plenty of off markets there being delivered to me. And I'm going, yeah, and how many of you bought? And how many of them are actually for sale? So that's one angle. The other angle is a lot of times people then sort of feel that because it's secret, they actually want to do it before somebody else gets a hold of it. So they don't go through a normal process. Yeah. Like they don't go and get a pest and building. They don't go and get the contracts checked. There's no difference in the due diligence of a house that's off market, there's no difference in what you should be doing for an off market house or an on market house. And no, it's not going to get sold in the next 2 hours. Yeah. So go through your processes of due diligence, whether it's on or off market. And why would I buy an off market? I'd buy an off market if I liked it, and I wouldn't buy it if I didn't.
Negotiate price off market.
Okay, let's talk about that price. Price becomes a lot more slippery when it's off market. So in a lot of ways, I do believe you do need representation. Of course, I'm going to say that, so I'm biased. So you'll just have to work that out for yourself. My level of bias. If you've got a $1 to $2 million property, it's going to auction. You know what you're doing, and you've got $2 million, and they're saying it's worth $1 million. You're just going to buy it anyway because your daughter loves it or something along those lines. I'm wondering the value.
But it's a completely different kettle of fish when it comes to an off-market property. Buyer wants X, agent has said X, values a completely different one again. You've been pre-approved at a different level and you don't know where to start.
Correct. And it's also the fact that if it's a good property, why would you be the only buyer interested?
Yeah.
Well, one thing I forgot, I didn't answer your question, statement of information. There must be a statement of information if there's an authority. So if the seller signs an authority with the agent, and he needs to be, otherwise how can the agent be offering the property for sale? It's actually, just go and check the law. There needs to be an authority. So once an authority's done, there then is regulations that a statement of information needs to be delivered to the seller. So there'll be a statement of information. If you ask for a statement of information, if the off market is legitimate, there will be a statement of information. So coming back to your question,
we've worked through all that. Sorry about that. Diligence. We've worked through. It's passed the duck test. Also, you think you've got an idea on price where that you're happy, the vendor's happy, the agent's happy, and you go, right, let's document it, and they go, oh, we don't have a contract. What happens?
A couple of things on that. First up, you should have asked that question right at the start.
Yeah.
So if you're really doing the duck test, the off-market duck test, one of the questions is there a contract? And if there's no contract, well, why are you proceeding? So, okay, sometimes at a really high level, at 20 million, 15 million, or along those lines, okay, there can be an understanding. But at 3 or 4 million and the agent's taking people through and there's no contract, it's difficult. You're really asking yourself, is it really for sale? And I'll get round to you.
Yeah, that is something that we do see though, where we can get access, we can get a price and the contract's not there. So it's not unheard of.
It's quite common.
Yeah.
But there needs to be some clear established. So in other words, you need to establish quite quickly before you do any due diligence. Mm-hmm. You need to establish quite quickly that you're, whether you're interested or not. And that's a legitimate thing from the seller saying, well, are you interested? Well, make us an offer. Well, I'm not sure that I want to be making an offer if I haven't seen the contract. I mean, has it got heritage? Yeah. Is there some big sort of covenant, caveat, whatever, running through the middle of the property? Mm. Is there some other major issue that we're not aware of? What's the zoning? That sort of thing. You need documentation. So if you say you're interested and the seller's then not prepared to get a contract, to answer your question back, let's say you've been through all the due diligence and you forgot to ask that question about contract and they got there, well, you're actually in a little bit of trouble because a contract usually takes a couple of weeks. And two things will happen from that in an off market if the agent's worth their salt. If you're still there in 2 weeks' time, the agent should be asking more money from you because you've shown an incredible desire to stay interested in the property for 2 weeks. And then when they ask you again, you're still interested? Yes. Oh, by the way, the property's gone up 300,000. So it's dangerous to be doing this. And the other thing is, well, now that the seller and the selling agent have actually got a buyer interested at X, why wouldn't they then be spending the 2 weeks while the contract's being done going out to everybody else and saying, well, I've already got X here. If you can be X plus a little bit, we could be selling this property to you. And then you can start, and then you come back, the agent comes back and says, oh, now I've got X plus. And you go, I don't believe you. and they sell it to somebody else. You know, I mean, that contract
Becomes a
situation,
tricky game,
you've got to really get your contract and your offer. You've got to get it right, and that's again why I think you need help.
Representation, yeah. So there's obviously a lot of advantages off market for the vendor, protects the footprint of their property. They can ask the price that they want. What is an advantage for the buyer being off market? If there is one.
There are. The advantage for the buyers are plenty of properties we bought that I believe probably the seller thought they were more expensive and the selling agent thought they were more expensive. In other words, we paid top dollar, when in fact, I'm not sure we did. And I give some really good examples. If you look at how many properties out there are a certain percentage of properties out there at the moment that the quote is 3 to 3.3 and they go for 4.3. And everybody goes, wow, that's fantastic. Leaving aside even the underquoting. Let's just assume that was a legitimate quote and it went for 4.3. Well, if you're asking 3.5 at off market, you would have been probably really, really happy to take that 3.5. So if as a buyer you can secure that property at 3.5, now you'll never know that it was going to go for 4.3, but I'm trying to give an example. I'm trying to give an example there that plenty of times you do buy good properties off market at good prices.
When the opportunity's there, which is good. So how do we at James Buy Sell, how do we find homes that are off market?
Okay, how do we do it? Well, there's multiple ways. Obviously, talking to agents is one thing, and you can do that as well. Another way is letterboxing. If we've got a client and they've got a specific, it becomes clear that they're interested in a specific area and a specific type of home, then a simple Google search of a number of properties we then target, and then we go and letterbox those properties. We did tend to do a lot more door knocking pre-COVID than what we do, and we've started to come back to door knocking. Obviously, we did no door knocking during the COVID times, but so I'd say letterbox, door knocking, agents, talking to other people, talking to past clients. We have a very large database, and there's no harm in going back as long as you're not pestering. No harm in going back and asking past clients, and we've sold past clients' homes to new clients. It's all clear. Everybody understands who's representing who and where it's all at. Talking with other lawyers, mortgage brokers, people like that, just listening, hearing things. Wouldn't say that I'm a party animal or anything like that, but you tend to hear things going out with people and go, oh, they might be interested in selling that.
So a lot of it really is about relationships.
It is. It is a lot of ways. A lot is through the agents, true, but probably an equal number of ways is through the advertising on market news for a start. We simply say, or advertising on social media. Yeah. You've seen that. Yeah. We put a little ad out saying we're looking for such and such for these people, and we only do it for real. We don't need phone calls that are fake, and we're never going to try and sell your house by that way. We don't. But people do ring up, and we do buy houses that way.
All right, well, before you give away too many secret herbs and
Sorry
spices,
about that.
I think we should actually tie it up because we do need to keep some things under our hat now.
Yes.
And thank you for today. I think it's been good.
Thank you very much, Sim, for asking me the tough questions.
The tough questions.
On off markets.